My name is Rasmus, and I'm an engineering manager working in FinOps and AI.
Yeah, and my name is Frederick. I work as the Senior Global Director for Innovations in SoftwareOne, and we're here to talk a bit about what we have built over the past 3 years to support the customer side and our customer portfolio in doing a data-driven approach to how they select appropriate hardware, virtualized hardware in the cloud.
The mantle. Then you can switch the slide as well. All right, so from an engineering perspective, when I go out and I talk with customers about performance and performance optimization, what they usually talk about is well-architectured frameworks. It's not really about the underlying machine itself. So I think in this very virtualized world, what we've ended up doing is kind of abstracting away from the actual hardware underneath. So we don't really, as engineers, care about that as much anymore. And when I ask, why did you select the Intel machine over the AMD machine? Or why are you going with an ARM processor? Most of them don't really have a clear answer of why. Why are you going with the 3rd generation? Why not go with the 6th generation? And what criteria have you actually used to select the appropriate SKUs for your workload? And usually the answer we'll be getting is something along the lines of, we had this on-premise environment, it's pretty big, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 8 vCPUs, and we kind of just matched some general purpose workload, and then we thought that's the most optimal. And coming out from an engineering perspective, I mean, you want to validate your claims with data. That's the usual go-to. And that's basically what we've tried to do. So to allow our customers to have a way that's open source to actually validate the claims of where you can get the most amount of performance for the least amount of money. And we call it the Cloud Performance Lab.
Thank you. And the Cloud Performance Lab, it's an initiative that we have started. Now it's 3 years old, and we've been grinding and running. I think it's a combination of more than 3,000 open source benchmarks across the virtual machines and instances available for the major hyperscalers, but also the neo clouds and the public clouds in general. And what we're using it for is to showcase towards our customers this way of taking a data-driven approach to how you go about the selection that supports your enterprise workloads once you're hosting them somewhere else than your own data center, right? We built this module called the Workload Optimizer, and the idea here is that instead of choosing the virtual machines or instances that support your workload by gut feeling or religion, you would actually take a data-driven approach, seeing where can I get the most bang for the buck, where do I have the highest performance for the most optimal cost. It leans into the FinOps approach. We've been consulting our customers on how they take like a more frugal approach to their cloud engagements in general, and this is where this plays into effect. One thing is to see it theoretically based on our benchmarks, and then we build an extension to that module called the batch fleet analysis, and this is basically taking all the benchmarks that we have been running and executing across the clouds, and then we feed into that the telemetry data and the utilization of the customers. So we scrape that off with their monitoring tools, and then we feed it into this model that will then indicate where they could go about opting for other models or opting for other SKUs to host their workloads on. What we have done here makes us able to do this in an agnostic manner. The open source benchmarks, it's a very general and accessible way of going about this, and it's with full disclaimers, right? Everybody can run these benchmarks, everybody can see the methodology of how they're executed across, and that allows us for having, let's say, a foundation to compare clouds to each other, right? So it's based on how well they execute these benchmarks, and of course they don't reflect reality completely, but it's a way for us to assure that we have the same, let's say, point of comparison. So we built into what's called the price to performance grid, and that's basically the grid supporting our model in the suggestion engine that then resides in front of the customers. And of course, this is not only related to x86 architecture. We also included ARM because there's a lot of the bigger clouds that has this offering now at a very, let's say, compelling price. But to be aware, and what most people are aware of already, is that thing about you cannot just go switching processor architecture at will. It will have impact on the underlying or over the workloads that you host on this, right? But we try to do this and build it into like an easy framework, right? You get wowed by some big numbers, seeing, okay, you could actually do different than what you've been doing so by habit up until now. So you upload your fleet to our program, and then we classify the workloads that you're hosting. We feed that back with both a comment to your current utilization and then how well it executes the benchmarks. And then you get a set of recommendations that will then take you further into that discussion that you have internally within your IT organization of, are we really optimized for what we're doing? That's enough talking without demoing. This was the slideware, right? Now we transition to the actual web app and the program, and I will hand over the mic to you, Rasmus, and then I'll navigate through this.
Yes, I'll try to manage. All right, so this is basically a web app that anybody in the company that we work for, SoftwareOne, can access. So what we want to do with the customers, basically not have the dev by PowerPoint. We actually want to showcase and take them through step by step. So what I usually ask, and I've done this quite a lot by now, is what are you running today? Right. Which cloud? That could be basically any cloud, AWS, GCP, OVH, pick your flavor. And especially in the Nordics, they're pretty big on Azure, but we also have a lot of AWS customers. So it's either one of the main hyperscalers. Then we also have the option of the smaller clouds in here, like Vultr, Hetzner, and so on and so forth, that we can go and select. So we select that with the customer, and then we move forward. Yes. And then you can see here, we have a bunch of different options and advanced configurations. So not to geek out about benchmarks, this is more maybe for the crowd that care. But what we usually like to do is select something pretty generic. So we usually tell the customer that's either StressNG or it's general purpose compute and so on and so forth. But if you really want to be specific, we also have LLM inference speeds, if that's what you care about as well. So we do have broader benchmarks for more general purpose use cases. And then we also have the niche specific things to get as close to reality as possible. So you can click through. Then we usually ask, what sort of instance family are you running? Because that also matters a lot. So what is your most common instance family? We can select. We can also see the processor architecture, x86. Because we're a license company as well, we have the Red Hat and SUSE options and so on and so forth. So we can also talk into the license agenda, but I'm not going to go into those details right now. And then we just click optimize with the customer. And what it will basically do is it will look across 3,500 different open source benchmarks, and it will look across public list pricing as well. And then it will compare where do I get the most amount of performance for the least amount of money for my specific use case as a customer. And then I meet some very technical customers that say, oh, but what about this scenario? Or my business application is very special. It's like no other business application, right? And I always ask them, what are you doing today when you select a machine? Like, what is your selection process? And they don't really have a good answer, right? Why are you using Intel processors? Why not AMD or vice versa? What is your decision criteria? And it's what we usually, they don't want to admit it, but what we usually get down to is it's kind of a hassle for them, right? Because they have a selection across a lot of major clouds between hundreds of machines. So they just usually opt for general purpose, or they think, oh, my application is high memory, and they opt for that, and that's it. But actually, as you can see here, you can get a cost reduction of 64%. And this is not like imaginary numbers, this is actual numbers, right? We've shown this to customers. And I've had customers being on like older machines as well in the cloud, just by migrating to newer machines or cross-cloud to Vultr, they can save 60%. And then you can make a reservation on top as well. Because what we start by discussing is, I need to make reservations, right, on my cloud compute. And then I ask, yeah, but shouldn't we ask, why are you running on this certain type of instance before you make the reservation? So before you commit for 3 years, let's first talk about what you're actually committing here, and if you're actually running the correct thing that's fit for purpose, but also it's actually cheap as well. And we've just discovered, I mean, a lot of it is the same hardware across the clouds. The price is vastly different.
Yes, and exactly that. It also speaks into the current cloud's competency in actually virtualizing and having the performance of the underlying processors really shine through, right? So even though you're hosting the same hardware basically in your data centers, the individual cloud's ability to bring that to the customers through the virtualization is what shines through, right? So the ability of bringing the full range of compute capacity into that virtualized environment, that also impacts the grid, right? Because then you would execute the benchmarks faster. Or you would have more, let's say, actions coming through. Now, what we selected here is like the general purpose compute and a constellation that will be within Vultr. Of course, there's a lot of considerations here, right? This is just how well it executes the stress NG benchmark, which is like a broad variety of benchmarks and stress tests that you would run on that virtual machine. But it has to be, let's say, enriched by the context of the given customer, right? Because can they make do with less RAM? Maybe not. If they are hosting like memory-intensive workloads, then this would not be the ideal choice. And that context is what's being enriched in the dialogue with the customer once they get hit by this reality, right? Virtual reality, right? Because this is a fictive scenario of how well it executes the benchmarks. But it's a point of departure for the dialogue with the customer that actually brings us quicker forward. Because what we're aiming to do with this is, of course, going in project-based. How can we help the customer executing across the recommendations that we see here? How can we start having them adopt the frugal mindset of being hosted in a public cloud, right? And it's that frugality that usually does not sit with engineering, right? It's a KPI that usually sits with finance or procurement, but now with this we're bridging that to actually also hit the engineers and the engineering departments, making them aware, making them make conscious choices to where they reside and why. I have another scenario, and that's just to execute and then showcase the cross-cloud. We could say that a customer would reside on AWS for this matter, and for this we just take like raw CPU. So we take the pass mark with the CPU mark. Once again, like we have a wide variety of niche benchmarks that we can execute depending on the technical capability of the audience that we engage with. This is a very general one. It just hammers the CPU performance of that given instance. So we use that configuration, and we say for the sake of this, like one of the most commonly used SKUs in AWS, even though it's a legacy one, is the C6i. Very widespread. It's based on Intel processors, and it's just general purpose fit, right? So now we hammer that CPU. We could say they're running like 16 cores in whatever region is relevant. Let's just take some EU Central now that we are in Europe. And then we disallow everything but dedicated, and then we optimize, right? So as you see, they would have, like within AWS, they would still have like the ability to go for cost reduction by opting for a newer SKU residing on an AMD processor. However, if you see the suggestions across the clouds below, you would see that Vultr actually comes up with like a very favorable cost comparison and cost reduction, while they have 33% performance increase on the CPU performance, right? This is the foundation that we basically set in the dialogues with the customer that allows us to also supplement their existing cloud engagement and making them think for a wider range of clouds to support them succeeding on the infrastructure budgets. That of course will allow them to then invest in newer initiatives, right? Because this sits with us in what we call the optimize to innovate pillar, strategic pillar for us in SoftwareOne. And it has just a perfect fit because this resonates across the customers. We're helping them alleviate the budget to invest in newer and more fun ventures.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention from like an engineering perspective, being able to reduce your instances horizontally matters quite a lot, right? If you're running Kubernetes and so on and so forth, that you have less clusters to manage and less overhead, because as you start scaling Kubernetes, you will have more overhead, right? So if you can reduce that by opting for newer machines, that's also a favor for those people maintaining all the Kubernetes clusters as well. So that was just an added point to that as well.
And this is of course the theoretical output, right? The button in the down left corner is what takes you to like Git repository, public Git repository, where we have the scrapers available, right? We don't want to go through executing those now, but that will basically allow you to scrape your estate. Like scrape your estate, it sounds so criminal. It's like reading the telemetry from your current IT infrastructure. It reads the telemetry and usage data of your current estate, and we utilize those metrics to then do actual advice on the customer data in that given scenario, and we can do it on the spot, right? Because you can basically pull all the telemetry from the past 30 days, we feed that into the engine, and then in that meeting with the customer, we just get the results that they could actually opt for this route, and then instead of spending months going back and forth with the customer about feasibility, we have the tangible foundation to transition further in that dialogue, either for cloud migration or an optimization within the current cloud. Yes.
And I also wanted to mention as well that what we're doing right now is we have launched this globally, and this is like free assessments that we're basically giving away while we're fine-tuning the model as well, making sure that all the recommendations are sound, and the initial feedback we've gotten on the customer side, because that's what really guides this, especially from the engineers and architects, is that it's such a huge hassle to select the correct machine, especially now with the play going towards multi-cloud, being more vendor independent. It's like, yeah, go do that. All right, I have to figure out across all these different clouds what this machine would look like elsewhere, right? And that's not really your core job either, right? That's to keep all the systems alive. So all the feedback we've gotten, initial skepticism, I would say, which is fair enough, but also a lot of good insights from customers actually saying that they want to go further. They want to start giving us the telemetry data so we can apply this to their own data as well. So that has been quite fun, also from an engineering perspective.
And with that, I will just say, like as a closing note, that we also are starting to look into the VMware migration, like so from on-premise to the cloud migration patterns based on these benchmarks, right? So it's a way for us to then assess based on the telemetry and the given benchmarks how they can then move to the cloud, honoring the current capabilities of the given infrastructure that they reside on in their own data centers. It's a bit more of a hassle because you're more free to spec your on-premise state, but this is like the indicators that will then allow for the foundation in that direction. And it's a new take on this because nobody else is doing this benchmark based, right? So the data that we're supplying into that gives a completely new dimension into how you assess going from 2 virtual cores in your VMware estate, matching that with performance on 2 virtual cores in the cloud. Instead of just going core to core, RAM to RAM, now you have it in a constellation where you actually honor the performance of the current estate and you can replicate that into the cloud, making the selection much more easier because you don't select from 20 instances, now you select from the top 5 that actually performs the best or equal to what you already host. That's that. And then there's nothing left to do than say, if you're interested, of course we can do this with you. We are very eager to have this out and running with all the customers that we have, also new customers coming on, and we are available, right? So either grab a hold of the Vulture people that you see around or the SoftwareOne people, and we will engage with you happily on this agenda. With that, I'm just saying thank you for listening in and have a good conference.